words can't express. We're fortunate. Anybody who lives on this side of this school building has been able to watch that from the first beam in, from the first day. So we are part of this parish's history, and that you cannot put into words. And I've tried to explain that to the kids.
Plus, the tuition at the school. I often tell these people they die laughing. It was 50 cents a month. 75 cents in high school. I tell them this at the meetings they have, and they just die laughing. Of course, and some people couldn't pay that.
I can remember one time that mother had to pay 75 cents a month, and we didn't have it. So she came to some kind of an agreement with the nuns that I could carry eggs to them on the bus and come up to the sister's home and then come back down. And lots of times that helped to pay my tuition. And they were 5 cents a dozen then.
Education has long been an important part of the St. John community. In 1866, many years before it was mandated by the Archdiocese, St. John opened its parish elementary school.
There was a school of one room, and they said they had 2 handmade benches with no backs, 2 handmade desks. And the boys sat facing east and the girls sat facing west.
The opening of the school coincided with the completion of the third church building. The second structure, originally known as Christ Church, housed the one-room school in the sacristy. The first class of students was educated by Charles Eckenrode and Julia Delaney. In 1898, Father Cassidy would make the biggest staffing contribution to the school by acquiring the services of the School Sisters of Notre Dame.
Over the period of time that the School Sisters of Notre Dame served here at our parish school, we've probably had somewhere between 80 and 120 different nuns that have participated in the program.
The School Sisters of Notre Dame prospered at St. John for the next 100 years. The last sister to teach in the St. John grade school was Sister Charlotte, who retired as the librarian in the late 1990s. Today, the student body, under the guidance of a dedicated lay staff, continues to grow, enhancing a 137-year legacy.
The only thing that's set us back so far has been the weather. As you know, we were suffering a drought when we started the building, and right after we started the building.
Our WTTR Weather Center telling us that we're under a winter storm warning until 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. The snow should end by midday Friday. Total accumulation.
When you put your block and your brick in, you don't want it to freeze for 48 hours. So we had some extreme cold weather with the wind that's always up here, so they had to tent that and heat it to keep it from freezing as they laid it and as it cured. Then we had the snows and the rains, and that just kept your masons off the job, which somewhat slowed it down. And then several days I was out here where they had to pull the men off the roof because the wind was so strong, and it was just a little too unsafe for them to be working up there.
In 1923, Reverend Martin Egan became the 7th pastor of St. John, Westminster. The pastors of the 19th century were known for building churches. The pastors of the 20th century were known for renovating them. Father Egan installed the Moeller organ that remains an integral part of St. John. He also had the ceilings of the 3rd Main Street building frescoed. In 1950, Reverend James Dwyer became the 11th pastor of St. John. His recent predecessors significantly improved life at the Main Street site. He became a builder and renovator by necessity. On Thursday, June 19, 1952, a violent windstorm moved through the Westminster area. At approximately 4:45 p.m., in the midst of the storm, the steeple that had towered over Westminster for nearly a century came crashing down.
1952, we had a bad storm which took the top 100 feet of the steeple. Fortunately, Father Dwyer's mother, who had been sitting on the porch about the time the storm came up, and she decided she better go inside, had just gone in and walked back toward the kitchen and sat down when the steeple came right through the front room and collapsed the porch that she had been sitting on moments before.
Reports from eyewitnesses vary, but it is believed that high winds were to blame for the destruction. Rain falling through the new breach in the church roof damaged many sections of the organ. Several stones at the top of the structure fell into the empty church, crashing through the floor. After repairing the damage from the storm of '52, the people of St. John continued to worship in the Main Street Church for 16 more years.
You've just entered the section of the building probably none of you had any idea that it was here. This part of the building was added on in 1992 when we opened our first kindergarten class.
I was the first class to graduate out of St. John's School.
Tell her.
Yep, I was the first class to graduate out of St. John's High School.
In 1927, Father Martin Egan established the St. John High School. The two-story school building housed the elementary students in the lower level and the high school students in the upper level. By the mid-1950s, the school had grown so large that a new building was needed. The church, recovering from considerable storm damage, purchased a 36-acre tract of land between Monroe Street, Carroll Street, and Weimart Avenue.
Father Murphy became pastor. He built the new rectory. And when he came, he said, you know, the way the church is growing, we have to get a new location. So he really asked me to go out and look around and acquire some land.
In 1957, ground was broken on the first structure at the new site for a two-story high school with a gymnasium and auditorium. On December 4th, 1958, the new building was dedicated and the high school became the first to transfer to the new location. Because of the inability to compete with public high schools, the parish made the difficult decision to close the high school 9 years later due to low enrollment. The high school was converted into the elementary school as the exodus from the Main Street property continued.
It'll eventually be brick with the big arches and glass. They're coming around to this location right now with brick. What you see over here to the left, where the arches are going to be for the large clear windows leading into the transept, are your cement precasts, as we call them, that go up and they'll form your arch. We only have 10 windows from Main Street right now, so the upper will be clear for now, and in the future if somebody wants to donate stained glass windows, we'll have them made, and they just set in. That's all they do. They clip in. The entire structure, I'm going to say, is 49 feet high. The cupola, with the cross, I think is 49 feet high.
Wow, that's really going to be sticking up
So you
there.
add that on a 59-foot high church, you're up there a little ways.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus went into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said in reply, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God."
And Jesus said to him in reply, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. So I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you,